Hi guys, welcome back to TV Spoilers. Today I'm going to reveal a shocking secret that could throw Newman into a chaos, a threat Newman poses to Matt's freedom. Unexpected secrets explode as Nikki investigates Matt's criminal record. Nikki discovers Matt Clark is Victor's illegitimate son. During her investigation to find Nick, Nikki stumbles upon a shocking secret. Matt Clark may be Victor's illegitimate son. This information completely disrupts the family relationship, shocking Nikki and prompting her to question Victor's past actions towards Matt and Nick. This adds to Nick's anxiety as he faces a far more complex danger. Matt's threat never lay in direct intimidation, but in a persistent sense of unease, an invisible pressure that seeped into every breath of the Newman family, making everyone understand that this danger was no longer a momentary impulse or a confrontation that could be resolved by Victor's familiar strength. Since Matt's release, the atmosphere around Nick has been shrouded in a thick layer of tension. What was once a turbulent life has become a state of constant vigilance, where every call could be a new warning, every prolonged silence a harbinger of impending disaster. Nikki watched her son being drawn into this vortex, unable to maintain her composure. Her fears stemmed not only from what Matt might do next, but also from a feeling of helplessness upon realizing that this time the threat was not simply an external enemy. It felt closer, deeper, darker, as if it were directly touching the very core of the family that had been built with power, money, and seemingly unassailable principles. Nick felt that pressure most acutely. Despite his attempts to appear strong, he couldn't hide the weariness accumulating from being hunted both mentally and physically. He understood that Matt wasn't just targeting him, but everything connected to the name Newman. Noah's involvement in this danger pushed the situation beyond a personal conflict. It became a blow to the family's lifeblood, a symbolic and real threat that forced Nikki to take action. As a mother, she could endure many things, accept the dark sides of her marriage and turn a blind eye to many of Victor's secrets, but she couldn't accept her son and grandson becoming targets in a game whose rules she didn't fully understand. The more she witnessed Nick's anxiety, the more she saw Noah shrouded in unnecessary insecurity, the more Nikki felt compelled to delve into Matt's past herself. Initially, Nikki's investigation stemmed from a protective instinct. She needed to know who Matt was, where he came from, and why he carried such a persistent resentment that he was willing to destroy the fragile peace her family still possessed. But the more she followed the seemingly disjointed clues, the more she felt something was amiss. Matt's past wasn't just obscure in the sense of a man who had run into the law or harbored a vengeful spirit. It was unusually obscured, as if someone had deliberately messed it up, so that anyone trying to uncover the truth would be drawn into a labyrinth of inconsistent pieces of information. This ambiguity sent a chill down Nikki's spine. She knew this kind of concealment all too well, having lived long enough beside Victor to recognize the traces of secrets buried by power. When the initial details didn't fit together, when the timing, circumstances, and connections in Matt's file began to form a terrifying pattern, Nikki no longer felt she was merely investigating a family threat. She began to feel she was standing before a door to an old secret, a secret large enough to explain why Victor always reacted so strangely when Matt's name came up. Nikki's anxiety then turned into an obsession. Not an obsession born of curiosity, but the intuition of a wife who had too many times been forced to piece together the fragments of truth her husband had deliberately pieced apart. She secretly delved deeper, choosing to explore paths she might have previously avoided to preserve some peace in a marriage already riddled with breakdowns and reconciliations. But this time, her intuition wouldn't allow her to turn back. Each new clue seemed to push her closer to something she both feared and refused to believe. Matt no longer appeared as a man who merely used threats to pressure Nick. He began to emerge as a hidden part, an old shadow of the Newman family itself, something that should have been known if everything had ever been built on truth. What truly haunts this story isn't the shock of Matt being Victor's illegitimate son, but the feeling that this tragedy could have been avoided if the truth hadn't been buried for so long. It's the delay, the concealment, and the control that fueled the danger. And that's why the tragedy in the storyline stems not only from Matt's actions, but also from Victor's past choices, from the silences Nikki had overlooked, and from how a powerful family can trade honesty for a perfect image. When the truth is finally revealed, no one remains intact. Victor loses the trust Nikki once placed in him. Nikki loses the security she clung to her marriage. Nick loses the simplicity in view of his enemy, and Noah loses the peace he deserved. Each person is deprived of a part of their peace, all because of a secret left unspoken.